How's it going, everyone? And welcome to another quarantined edition of No Excuses on VTWProductions.com and YouTube.com with their favorite show hosts, Still.
Venurian.
And Volatile, who is stuck in lockdown because the leadership of our country is retarded and has no idea what they are doing, why, or where they intend to go with this.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even ascribe malice to them because I just don't have any confidence they're intelligent enough to be malicious.
Oh, what was it? There's a name for it. Something's razor, not Occam's razor, the other one.
It could be Hanlon's razor.
I think that might be it. Yeah. Do not ascribe to malice what can be ascribed to stupidity.
I want to ascribe malice to them though because everything they do has the characteristics of malice.
Yeah, but it's so damn stupid.
I just don't believe that they're clever enough.
Yeah.
So basically, for those who don't know, although I don't know how you could not know, considering every other country in the world is laughing at us, apart from Australia, because they're equally hysterical.
Because we're face palming at Victoria again. And
yeah.
Sydney.
One case of coronavirus was discovered in New Zealand, and so they locked down the entire country, full scale lockdown. Nothing but essential businesses allowed to function. The entire country. Like, this one case occurred in another city on another island. There is a water barrier around the island that I am on, and yet I'm under lockdown because of a case that might as well be in another country.
Yep.
I placed a visual inside live show chat that will elaborate the situation better.
It's just
As
very
bad as it
frustrating.
is, at least New South Wales are up to like a couple of thousand cases now or something. Because they ruined everything.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter though, not really.
Not
Because
really.
they're only talking about cases. If it mattered, they would be talking about hospitalizations and fatalities. But they're talking about cases because that's the only way to make it sound bad.
Yeah.
But,
No one is taking it seriously anymore at this point.
The thing is that we would be seeing the exact same pattern if every year they treated flu cases the same way.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be any different because the destiny of the coronavirus is to become an endemic virus. That's it. And that's why part of why I'm so mad at our government is because you cannot eliminate a coronavirus. You can't do it. It's not possible. There are theoretical ways in which you could do it, but they don't stand up to practical considerations. Like, let's say, for the sake of argument, that the vaccine works exactly as the way and as well as they have propagandized that it does. We know that it doesn't because of the data coming out of Israel. But let's say that it does. In order to actually pursue elimination, you would need to have snap mass vaccination of the entire population every 6 months for about 4 years. And then you would render it straight into the endemic state because everybody would be so full to the gills with antibodies that it wouldn't be able to get a toehold anymore. I mean, it would still circulate through the population, but you wouldn't be able to see it happening.
Yeah.
Which is the actual problem here. The actual problem here is that you find what you look for. So we had this lockdown. It was a lockdown that was scheduled for 3 days and has now been extended another 4 days because reasons. That's literally it, because reasons. They don't actually have a reason. They just, we'll feel better about it if we just extend it.
Yeah. But anyway, we don't want to get bogged down talking about Coof because
I suppose we're limited on time.
we are speedrunning the show, yes.
Yeah, because things aren't really any more stable for Fern.
No.
And he's not even in the part of the country where the police are just firing rubber bullets into crowds that aren't even heading towards them.
Yeah, that's nothing to do with me at this point. Yeah, I'm in work hell at the moment. We've lost a bunch of staff for a couple of weeks, and one of our permanents is resigning, so I'm basically running everything all on my little lonesome over here at the moment, and it's not fun. Doesn't leave a whole lot of time for anything.
At least you don't have the U.S. government's tax system to deal with.
The Australian one's bad enough. At least we can do everything online now. It's like you just go in and, provided you just fill in all the information correctly, you don't have a problem. You can do it in 10, 15 minutes.
So me and Vol have attempted to get in touch with you for like 2 weeks. We nipped at you on and off throughout the weeks.
It's going to get worse before it gets better.
and we just can't get in touch with you.
Nah. So, I've done very little in the way of nerdery this week. For what I've done, you're actually looking at it. I'm playing, as of yesterday, a little bit of Dragon Warrior Builders 2. I enjoyed the first game. I didn't quite finish it. I kind of reached a point and just drifted away from it, as I tend to. But the sequel is basically the same game. I should actually be paying attention to what I'm supposed to be doing here, but So the whole story is big bad guy has been defeated, but his cultists are still running around. His cultists basically force people to declare the act of creation a sin. And that means, even building a house or growing food or anything like that. So people basically just let everything fall apart and live off handouts. No political commentary, please. I know it was coming. Just saying.
It is very apt of them to describe a failed system that's been tried a zillion times as a failed system that will fail again, even in a fantasy world.
Yeah, because it's yeah. Anyway, what was I doing? I was supposed to be doing something. I'm just gonna run around now. So because you come in as you're a builder and you know how to actually make things, you become the hero. You're also not a fighter, which is why I've got this guy who's following me around, because he is a fighter. He is also the big bad. By the way, this is the second island. I've played the game for maybe about 3 hours. Because, Dragon Quest is not exactly subtle. At all.
I don't think Toriyama's ever been involved in anything that was subtle.
No, it involves a lot of shouting, usually.
Yeah, he gets his idea of subtlety from Octal and Hordak.
Yeah, so the big bad had been defeated by the group of heroes, and people are starting to get out from underneath the cults. But there's the bigger bad, who is, for some reason, this guy following me around, who is friendly-ish. But he can't create. He just breaks things. That's all he does. I don't know why he's friendly. He's got the usual, lost his memory thing, but the game just basically doesn't even try to hide it. It just straight up says, yeah, he's the big bad. Not that he knows that. So, yeah. So, yeah. About on par with the usual Dragon Quest levels of subtlety. I can't really begrudge Dragon Quest its lack of subtlety or its extreme tropiness, because they've been doing it like that for so long. It's kind of endearing.
Yeah, I sort of feel about it like it's sort of almost like the JRPG baseline.
Yeah. Ants. I smushed them. There we are.
Yeah, I think 10 was about as experimental as they got, and it was still incredibly played straight, except with a time travel twist at the very end. Well, and then everything else resumed playing straight after that.
Yeah, suddenly we're playing another Toriyama game. Here's Chrono Trigger. But 11 kind of got a bit experimental. It's because, oh no, you're the prophesized hero because, of course you are. Here is Mr. Chosen One. We know that things go really bad when a Chosen One turns up, so we're just going to lock you in prison. What is this thing? I don't know what this is, but I'm taking it with me. So yeah, that's where the bulk of the story starts off, is people just freak the hell out because Chosen One's there, lock him up, and bad things happen anyway, because of course they're going to. So yeah, it's got the whole Minecrafty, blocky looking thing type going on. Basically, you build houses for people, you build plants, you basically just do what you're told for the entire game. For some reason, houses don't need roofs. You can put a roof on it if you really want to, but they don't need one. Can I teleport carrying this thing? I wonder. Find out. Yes, I can. So, yeah. this is my little town as it is now. So I've got a couple of houses up here. They're just a box with no roof on it. It's raining and nobody seems to mind. It's fine. The only other real bit of nerdery I got up to this week is I was able to make my D&D session at least. That's still going on. I've running around with a druid who the dice have decided that is not allowed to be a druid. Like, at all.
What, do you, like, get a 6 in wisdom or something?
Oh no, my wisdom score is fine. My nature checks are usually awful because that's based on intellect for some reason, and not wisdom.
Well, that's because nature as a skill is just a pure knowledge skill.
Yeah, it is. But it's also, like, the skill for druids. And druids use the intellect as a dump stat, usually. So...
Gotta balance it a bit harder.
I guess. So yeah,
Maybe you can get your DM to drop you some Get Smart juice, some boomer juice for your brain.
No, he's not going to because the shenanigans are becoming infinitely more hilarious as time goes on. So every time I try to do something that is, actually druidy, I will never roll anything higher than a 5. At all. So, we're being attacked by a giant whale because the dice also decided we're not allowed to go to the ocean at any point without them trying to kill us. I tried to do druidy things to make it go away. It doesn't work. The barbarian just starts trying to talk whale. And by that I mean he's floating around the ocean going ooh ooh.
Is this like Dory in Finding Nemo?
Exactly that. And what do you know? He rolls a nat 20. So...
You're not a very good druid.
I am not a very good druid. The barbarian is apparently a better druid than I am.
Did you drop a lot of empty crisp packets when you were a child or something?
Probably. The character's not exactly a naturey type druid. He's more of a talking to the spirits type druid. But it's still supposed to be able to actually, brood.
No, you Jamaica Mon druid. The only leaf you know is what that kind you can smoke up in a hash roll.
Yeah. Like being attacked by little lizards that basically attach and chew on you until you ask them to get off. No, I failed at that too. I tried to moonfire them off basically and killed myself. Or KO'd myself.
By Zamites or something?
Yeah, think of it like little tiny Zamites. Like geckos that just bite. But as soon as you try and take them off, they do a point of damage. They reflect damage.
So long as you just let them sort of hang on to you, they'll be fine?
More or less, yeah. They do eventually do ticking damage, but by and large they don't do that much. But yeah, again, the barbarian just said, get off. And they all got off. I am terrible at druid. I might just go back to my punchy type character, I think. So yeah, shenanigans still are abound.
I think what you need to play for your next character is a sorcerer rogue hybrid.
Go on.
Just think of all the terrible arcane trap shenanigans you could cause with failed disarm trap rolls.
As long as I take a few points in wild mage. Or wild magic.
3.5, that's a prestige class.
It is
wild
actually.
mage.
It's a base class now, yeah. Is the wild magic. Because you don't have prestige classes anymore. Each class has different... it's named different for each class, but different specs. Basically.
Ooh.
So you're
filthy.
I don't know why they made all these changes, but they seem to have been relatively popular in 5th edition. Not so much in 4th edition.
No, 4th edition went too far the other way, I think. So everything was numbers. And so you spent all your time dealing with numbers and not enough time, actually playing the game. So 5 kind of stripped a lot of that out. Like, you've still got your dice, you've still got numbers, but they've taken away a lot of the specifics for a lot of abilities and things like that. So, aside from things like Fireball, which is just Fireball, it gives you a lot more freedom to how you want your character, as long as it's mechanically it'll just fit into this groove. But yeah, you can reskin things as much as you like. And that's my week. The rest of it's just been work, and no one wants to listen to do that. Hopefully I'll be able to take that holiday, but I don't think it's going to happen. Now I've got to figure out what on earth I'm supposed to be doing because I wasn't actually paying attention.
Alrighty.
Vol, what are you doing?
Well, I would have liked if lockdown resulted in me getting time to relax the way it does to some people, but unfortunately that's not the case. So I have to continue working as though everything is normal while our country descends into poverty. Thankfully, it doesn't result in any kind of increase in my workload, but it doesn't necessarily result in stability either. But so I finished the whatchamacallit, summer event. Cleared the whole shop. Got a ton of QP. It was quite the profitable event. However, I don't necessarily know if it was worth it, given the amount of farming I had to do to get there. But, I didn't have much better to do, so I ended up doing it. And I have finished out the event with 730 million QP.
Yeah, I didn't get anywhere near that.
But yeah, so we're going into a dead week now, which is good because the next week is going to be whatchamacallit, a Neurofest type event, which means lottery, which means farm like a mofo because this is your chance to get all of your servants leveled up and to put together a good stash of skill gems so that you don't have to farm those because farming them is a huge bore. But in the midst of the beat week, I have been attempting to replenish my stash of eggs from skilling up Lambda, which depleted almost everything that I had. And it turns out though that eggs are one of those reagents that are almost impossible to get. There's something like the average amount of AP spent for one is somewhere between 165 and 175 for one. And at where I am presently, I think I need about 35 more. So it's kind of grim. I've got a sort of about a 90% reliable 3-turn strat for the farming stage, so it's not too difficult or anything like that, but it is quite time consuming. But that I'm trying to farm those up because I'm sort of hoping to roll on the Space Ishtar banner later this year, and she needs a lot of those eggs to skill her up. So yeah. As far as other games are concerned, I'm trying to get back into and make some progress in Monster Hunter Stories, which is still fun, and it requires me to pay a lot more attention to the battles these days because more and more of the monsters have all three different phases utilized and different ways to shift them between those three phases and so on and so forth. One of which is usually just an enrage that I don't know if there's actually a predictor for enrage or whether it just happens like after a certain number of turns or after you've inflicted a certain amount of damage since the last enrage or what.
But, yeah, I've seen both of those.
But the other one is usually tied to some mechanic, like it will use something to buff itself or it will start to fly or something like that. I'm currently still stuck in a part of the story where they are treading water. That is to say, you basically are just heading from location to location and fighting a boss monster at each one. I'm not quite sure how far I am from the end of the primary storyline or anything like that, but I do know that I've got less than half of the Monsterpedia filled in, and I feel like I've seen an awful lot of monsters.
I'm wondering if it has the high-rank versions in a separate entry. Yeah, that would be kind of dumb.
I don't know.
I hope not.
But I think as far as the Monsterpedia is concerned, that might be the case because I've seen almost all of them in the 128 that are listed at this point. So I think that there's probably like another 128 plus Elder Dragons for the high rank, if I had to guess.
Ish.
Because I've seen 104 different monsters at this point. I've still got some gaps early on. I'm not quite sure why. Like what goes in there, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, mostly at this point I'm seeing variants, although I get the occasional curveball thrown to me, like Bagel Goose earlier today, and I fought Nergigante, and he is an angry boy. He is a very angry boy.
Angry spiky boy.
Yeah, his entire fight is based around breaking his spikes, much like in Monster Hunter World, because if you don't, then he basically starts to wig out and do lots of really powerful attacks. So you've got to. There's a lot of sort of holding key attacks for certain points of the fight that's necessary to fight a lot of the later monsters. Like you often want to do something like. Well, most people swear by the hunting horn because it allows you to basically dampen a lot of the effects that would normally wipe you, and I can see the value in that. But I do actually get quite a bit of utility out of the hammer as well for certain fights, because you can build up your whatever your points are in it, and then basically hold it and use those points to get an easy part break at a key point in the fight where you need to transition a phase before you die.
Yep.
So it's there's a certain amount of strategy involved, despite the simplicity of the base system. But yeah, I've been trying to resist the urge to touch the gene system, because as far as I can tell, it's pretty much it's a red herring getting involved with it at all.
Yeah, especially since they've basically taken out the element change thing.
Yeah, like I mean that would be interesting if it was, you know, reasonably accessible to do and available, but honestly, it feels like bait to get involved with it at all in low rank.
Yeah,
which is where you're going to be for an awful long time. So I'm just trying to resist the urge to use it at all, and my use of it has basically thus far been restricted to pretty much just compiling dupes into one monster sort of thing. You know what I mean? Because actually trying to construct any interesting gene layouts is going to just become completely redundant. And that's, I think, the thing that bothers me the most about this game, is that the curve is not smooth the way it is in conventional Monster Hunter games, from the way most people talk. Where in Monster Hunter traditional, you basically have a smooth gearing curve between low rank and high rank. You don't just have to hold on to low rank. Like, you still don't want to excessively farm low rank in conventional Monster Hunter games normally, but it usually isn't going to harm you very much if you will. It'll just make your gear carry you further into high rank before you really need to upgrade. That doesn't really seem to be the case here. A lot of the way people talk about high rank is that everything you did in low rank immediately ceases to exist, and you're playing a different game. So you only need to have, you know, met the bare minimum in order to function in high rank, and then you can forget about everything that happened beforehand. But yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that's only available there. Like there are certain tricks that aren't evident to you. Like, when I say tricks, I don't mean exploits that you can pull off. I mean little factoids that you should know. For instance, low rank strongly telegraphs that the coin, the bottle caps that you use to trade in for stuff, are a limited resource when they're not. They're able to be farmed infinitely, but only in high rank.
Yep.
But you don't have any way of farming them infinitely in low rank. They look for all the world like a limited resource, but they're basically the only way of getting certain things. So, yeah. So there are lots of weird little facts in the corners of the game, which is pretty much the same as every other Monster Hunter game, where nothing that you really, really wish you knew was written down anywhere by anyone.
They're not really good at explaining things in Monster Hunter games.
I don't know if that's deliberate or not.
It's got to be at this point. They've had that long to try and get it right.
But yeah, so I'm back to playing that. I sort of want to be playing Final Fantasy 14 as well because the yearly whatchamacallit, the Rising event, which happens every year on the anniversary of release, is coming out soon. So I'll probably use that as sort of my marker point for gradually getting back into it. But yeah, I haven't really done so yet, as much as I would like to. Although I am going to take some holiday time, provided the government lets people leave their houses before September. So I will be away from my PC during that time. So it will be. I'll probably, since I'm only going to be visiting my parents for a week, I'll probably just take the Switch. But rather than packing up all of the other detritus around my room. But yeah, I'll at least be able to play some more Monster Hunter games in that time, and whatever else occurs to me to purchase off the overpriced Nintendo store while I'm traveling.
Yeah.
Don't know why they have to be
That's dangerous, man. That shit is expensive.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not like they don't have a monopoly for games on that system. I mean, a lot of that stuff doesn't exist in physical format these days. Today's menu for the Emiya family game came out quite a while ago now, but it only got released in the US region and has not been released anywhere else in English.
Blah.
I've heard that you can just change the region of your Switch at no penalty whenever you want, provided that you set things up correctly. But I have no idea how to do that, so I'll have to look into that at some point in the future.
Yeah, definitely look into that. I'm wondering how true the no penalty thing is, though. It seems a bit stupid, though. If they're not going to penalise people for it, why not just, leave it alone? Let people just buy whatever?
I bet there's some kind of legal shenanigans.
Yeah, it
Probably.
might serve some other legal purpose as far as distribution goes in various places. But I've heard that you can just change the country that your thing is set to operate in, and provided that you have an account with that website for that region, you can change the region corresponding to that particular account wherever you want. I'm not quite sure exactly how it works, but I've heard that that's the case. But it does sort of irritate me that the region locking is still a thing. Like, really? Come on, guys. Aren't we over this already? I thought you guys are like crazy globalists. Don't you want the whole world to be one country? Anyway, I don't think I've got a great deal else to talk about. There's not really much moving in the anime scene. Everything that I have started watching and am continuing to watch has pretty much just stayed on an even keel, for better or for worse. There have been no series that I've been watching that has been getting dramatically better, and none of them have been getting dramatically worse, although in some cases that's because there's nowhere to go. Like, you can't get much further down than this anyway. I'm not quite sure that there's really much else to talk about for me this week. I haven't done very much except endlessly try and force the cat song out of my head.
I sent you like 3 meme songs to try and help you.
Yeah, but it just keeps going back to the cat song over and over again.
Ketchup, mustard, lettuce, cheese.
I have a real issue with songs getting stuck in my head, and like most people, when they get a song stuck in their head, it's in there for a couple hours. For me, it's several days usually, and my brain will just orbit back around to it.
Stupid trader brain.
It really doesn't have much interest in doing what I want most of the time. But yeah, it's just a funny little song from Artanelico 3, which was supposed to be in universe. It was created to be a super dramatic battle song, but since in the setting, the way in which a particular song magic is expressed is influenced by the character's personality, and the particular individual which downloaded that song was not the most serious individual, so it went from a super dramatic battle song to being a sort of like a little ditty about cats fighting.
I see.
But yeah, obtained a soggy leviathan egg. Now that sounds appealing.
That's probably our good buddy Laggy.
No, it was a purple Ludroth.
Ah, right.
I don't know why it comes in purple, or what the purpose of that is.
Because he goes from making you moist to making you moist and sick.
Nothing about this sounds good.
Yeah, 'cause that's all you need. Is he's the same as regular Ludroth. He's just poisonous now.
Sometimes you just need to get all moisted up by a poisonous sponge.
I don't want to be moistened by a poisonous sponge. This still doesn't sound fun at all.
No, it's not.
It sounds horrible.
It is most definitely unpleasant.
But yeah, I think the biggest drawback to the way Monster Hunter Stories is constructed, I think, is while they have done a good job of making sure you aren't disincentivized from raising up new monsters, they haven't done a good job of incentivizing you to do so, because you end up with too much disruption to the way your party operates in the main.
Yeah.
So as a result, I'm still using Kitchawacha, despite the fact that I have zero affection for this weird sort of taper flying squirrel cross bat thing.
Mm-hmm.
With an elephant trunk.
Well, yeah, that's why I said taper.
I don't know what tapers are.
Kind of a weird lump of a creature with a...
It's what Drowsy is based on. It's what the
Yeah,
Pokemon
think
Drowsy
Drowsy.
is based on. But, yeah. So I end up using a lot of monsters that I don't have much interest in, simply because raising a monster I like to the level of power that makes it practical for just using a party of favorites is totally impractical until you're at sort of like in the upper echelons of high rank and can reasonably fight anything that you desire to fight. But yeah. Anyway, I'll just leave it there because I don't really have a great deal else to talk about, and I sense an Agnactor in my future.
Mm-hmm.
That's ominous.
Well, Agnactor, I've come to dread fighting Agnactor and the other Agnactor, the blue one, because they don't stop clacking, and sometimes these fights take a really long time. Like, this isn't like this isn't like not like random battles in most JRPGs where they're over in less than a minute normally. If you have to fight a full battle against a monster, it takes almost as long as it takes to fight a monster in a conventional Monster Hunter game. And in the case of Agnactor, we're in a regular Monster Hunter game. Sometimes the monster will run away, sometimes you'll run away, the monster will be doing things sometimes. Most of the time, when you're fighting Agnactor, it's just clacking away the entire time. For like 10 minutes of fighting, it's just clack, 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 until you lose your mind.
Yeah. Do your clacking. Like, usually, when you actually fight the Agnactor in the proper games, it clacks, and that's usually a warning that it's about to do something horrible to you. Usually in the form of lasers.
This reminds me more than anything of watching the pros play Magic.
Oh,
and they'll
no.
just flip their cards constantly. That's Agnactor. He just clacks. He
really
just clacks to wind you up.
He didn't do that in the first game, actually. Agnactor EX you fight, and fairly early on, and he doesn't clack all that much.
This is turn-based, so anytime he's waiting for you to take your turn, he just clacks while he waits.
Clack, clack, clack.
Alrighty. Since we're on speedrun mode, I guess I can do my week. There ain't much to my week. I didn't do that much when I was home. I had hours where I was home because my sleep schedule got completely screwed, but I just didn't do much with them.
You kept making pinecone memes.
I made pinecone memes for like an hour on Monday. But and I posted 2 of them in the live show chat. The other one I can't post yet. Until it becomes an accidental reality. But so on Monday I had to get up at FU o'clock. And this totally screwed my sleep schedule because I got home and I went to sleep immediately. And I woke up and it was 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, that's awkward.
Yeah, so I slept from 5 to 1 in one big long burst. I'm like, well. And so all week I've been up at times the upside down people have been online.
Mm-hmm.
But this hasn't actually amounted to much because it takes me a while to boot up if I get a long sleep in. And this is why I try to get up really early most mornings. So what I'll do is I'll get on and I'll turn on Gura or Nikki Rackets, and then it'll be time to go to work again. But I did do a little bit of video gaming. Uh, the new X Pack, well, mini X Pack for Shadowverse came out. So I've been playing a bit of that, and that's really all I've done. Mini X Packs in Shadowverse work like this. A legendary and a gold is released for every single class, and sometimes a neutral legendary will come out, but not always, and we only got a neutral gold this time. And they released this as an add-on set. And you can pull packs. Once it's released, these cards are treated as part of the main set, and you can pull them from the main pack, or for the remaining half of the current block, you can pull from a special add-on pack that has something like 4 times the chance to pull the add-on cards compared to the other cards.
It's a rate up banner.
So yeah, basically for all their new stuff. The new cards are in this X Pack are universally busted, and nobody's sure what class is the most busted. We're kind of in a chaotic phase where just trying anything with the new cards that were released results in something absurd happening, and decks getting out of control really fast. So nobody's really sure where the meta sits right now. The only consensus is that Isabel is busted, and the reason Isabel is busted is because you only have 20 health in Shadowverse. Isabel eventually, after you play enough cards, ramps herself up. So when you do her little combo chain of the cards she gives you, because she gives you token spells that give you more token spells, and when you get to the end of the token spell chain, it does 10 damage to your face for 6 mana.
Oh joy.
So half your health gone instantly. So all they have to do is do a little bit of burn damage, enough to get you to half health, and then get to turn 6 with their combo going and smack you in the face. Now, people have come up with counters to this by playing a whole bunch of new cards that raise your maximum HP.
How'd that work out?
And it's working surprisingly well, actually.
It seems like a rather specific hard counter, though. Like,
yeah, it is.
If you're going to build your deck around that, you're basically building your deck around to guarantee that your opponent has one particular card as their linchpin.
So the raising your max HP only really hard counters Isabel and her ridiculousness.
Because traditionally in TCGs, raising your health has been considered to be a generally inadvisable strat because you're just staving off the inevitable and doesn't have a win condition attached to it.
Well, here's the kicker with this. With Havencraft, you do have a condition attached to it, and it's called Holy Sanctuary, otherwise known as Cancer. So the way Holy Sanctuary works is anytime your leader receives healing or has their max health increased in any way, even if you only heal for 0, you do the following 3 effects in order for each Holy Sanctuary you have on the board. And they cost 4 and refund 2 mana when you play them. So they cost 2, but you have to have 4 to play them. The first one, smack something random on the board for 3 damage. The second one, summon a 4/4. The third one, pick one of your dudes, give it cannot be targeted by any enemy effects, ward, and buff it by 2/2. For every single Holy Sanctuary you have on the field. And you can do each of these effects once per turn.
That doesn't sound that cancerous.
It's not until you get 3 things and all you gotta do is heal yourself once and you got machine guns going off, wiping the board, summon a 12/12 with can't be targeted and ward every single turn at minimum.
I don't associate that with any of that stuff with being a cancerous deck, though. Cancerous decks are the ones which destroy people's ability to interact.
Well, you can still try to beat around it. The reason Holy Sanctuary is called Cancer is because it doesn't matter what your opponent puts on the board. If it's not something incredibly fat, it's just going to get machine gunned down by the Holy Sanctuary, so they don't really have an opportunity to play around it. If you can get them really rolling, the problem is getting them rolling. So you have to spend several turns searching them out to get them on the board. But and also you're healing the whole time. So while you're doing this, they can try to make progress on your face and move towards their win condition, but you're just getting more and more HP until you get to absolutely stupid numbers. Like, ain't nobody killing somebody with 50 face HP. It just ain't happening. So the objective is to enable that engine and get yourself up as high HP as possible to deal with the bursty combos that are coming out. We get the fun thing about this expansion, though. All the class characters, so Arisa, Isabel, Erica, Urias, Best Vampire Bro. These have all only been player characters. You could play as them, but they didn't have cards before. They finally get their own cards in this mini X pack. Every single class got their class leader as a card. So we get to see what their cards do, which I guess is why they went so over the top with them. And they're all ridiculous. Like, Erica is pure rally support that gives you like 4 rally count, which in that game is nuts. It's the equivalent of playing 4 dudelets for 1 card. And then you get off-turn interaction where you can set up traps that your opponent can see that will just auto-destroy the next follower they play, that they have to play around.
No, that sounds fair.
Yeah, and then you have like Arisa that buffs your whole board and puts a bow on the board that if you return it to your hand, which Forrest can do really easy, you draw a card, and so you can just keep playing it for 1 and bouncing it back to your hand to draw out your whole deck. And if it stays on the board till the end of the turn, it buffs your board. So all of them are nuts. But I'm not going to go into all their ridiculous effects because a lot of them are text vomit. They just went so overboard with these effects. It's like Urias is the worst one that I can think of. No, actually, Eris is the worst one, but I don't even know what she does. She has so much text on her card. Urias makes Yu-Gi-Oh cards blush.
Oh my, that's
where
bad.
He when you play him, draw a card if Wrath or Vengeance is active. If both are active, draw 2. When you evolve him, put a Horrible Knight into your hand. When you play Horrible Knight, discard 3 random cards from your hand or your whole hand if you have less than 3 cards, and add 3 token cards that their names don't matter. Token 1, 2, and 3. These token cards are spells in your hand that all have absolutely bananas effects that are walls of text that if you get all 3 out, might as well say win the game.
That sounds balanced.
But any one of them will give you a swing play, and they all have, just to make him even more busted and synergize with the current blood deck, which is Wrath Blood, they all do damage to your face on your own turn. So you can play him on curve and evolve him at turn 5. And when you play them, you're hurting yourself. So as you cut yourself, you're doing damage to yourself, getting your Wrath count closer and closer to 7. And once you do 7 damage to yourself, all your Wrath effects kick off, and then your opponent's playing a losing battle trying to undo the Wrath engine.
Is this the crawling in your skin deck or something?
Certainly sounds.
I call it Furious Masochist, but yes. The cards are way too happy to be crawling in your skin because it runs like Devilish Diva, which is just a Idaru that's a demon. And stuff like that. There's very little crawling in your skin in the Wrath deck that hurts yourself. Most of it's waifus that are way too happy. And not happy to hurt you. Not dominatrix waifus, just waifus that are way too happy to be there.
Super happy robot?
Yeah, no, that's the Portalcraft deck.
Ah.
So yeah, I've been having fun with that, but I don't have anything else to really talk about. I've been working and watching a bit of YouTube. Nicky Rackets losing his first drinking contest was interesting. Or winning his first drinking contest. He won. He won his first drinking contest. That was interesting.
Yeah. I've been keeping an eye on some of the YouTube, and it seems like every other day there's a new player in the ring, just jumping in to kick WoW while they're down.
Yeah, I've not been watching them, but since YouTube's algorithm thinks that I'm interested in World of Warcraft, I keep seeing these videos go across my recommended. It's like, oh, I'm quitting World of Warcraft for good. Oh, I've had enough of World of Warcraft. I'm not going to play it anymore. Like, it's just an endless conga line of people who've decided that they've just had enough of this bull.
Yeah. Like, even Carbot, as of today, I think, actually put up a video saying he's moving to Final Fantasy XIV. And that guy was paid to shill WoW a few times.
Oh no, did I just... Oh man, I just decided to attack an Astalos.
I
don't think that World of Warcraft realised just, like, what it represented them getting caught out in the scandal. because it's basically just given all of the people who needed an excuse to leave a way to get virtue points at the same time as quitting World of Warcraft.
Yeah, like when the streamers started moving away, there's been a lot of people who have just been on the fence about WoW for the longest time.
Yeah.
And some of them have been on the fence since like Draenor.
The string has been getting tighter and tighter with these people. I think most of the WoW player base has been like that forever. They're on a knife's edge of, do I really want to keep playing this game? And all they need is their friends to go somewhere else.
Yeah, the numbers aren't sounding good either.
Yeah, I will be very interested in the next report.
Well, I think Bellular put up a bunch of analysis based on raid data. Current estimate of players is around 2 million.
It's not just that they had record losses though. The record losses were from record highs. Like people had given them one last fair shake, and they didn't use it profitably.
Yeah, Shadowlands was the fastest selling game in the world at the time. A lot of people bought Shadowlands just to give WoW one last shake.
And
they screwed the pooch.
They screwed it something
so badly.
horrible.
And it was not like there's some terrible thing happened, or it was COVID or something like that. No, it was the same thing that they do every time they have a bad expansion, which is that they just ignore the players' concerns because, don't worry, if we just stick to our guns for long enough, they'll give up.
Yeah, except that has literally never
ever
worked.
It's just such an absurd idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, so WoW is pretty much dead in the water at this point. I've not followed any of the main game WoW stuff, but I've been following the WoW Classic Reddit and the WoW Classic community a little bit, just to see their flip outs on the whole thing, because they have a totally separate set of issues than the main game guys do.
WoW Classic functionally ceasing to exist.
Yeah, you got the PTR now for what people are starting to call WoW Fresh, which is classic with, the modern amenities attached to it. I have no idea where that's going, though.
And monetization and all of the other crap.
Monetization.
They didn't retain the part of WoW Classic that was classic. It's just WoW now.
Yeah, the second microtransactions came in, that was the first big oopsie. And before that, actually, they even had the botting problem. And the botting problem really is out of hand. And if you watch some of these videos of people showing the bots, it is absurd. China just owns WoW Classic.
Yeah, it's driven a lot of people away from what should have been a surefire thing.
Yeah, the economies are completely broken on every server, and GDKP runs are becoming a thing because of the Chinese bot farmers ridiculously breaking the economy. And are apparently the number one way to get gear is to just go buy gold on a Chinese gold farming site and then go do a DKP run and spend 200,000 gold in WoW Classic on a sword.
Why would you do this?
That's not even an exaggeration. There's a screenshot of that happening. Like, they have serious problems. They have server imbalance problems where they did not merge servers. Layering wound up breaking things so that population imbalances were not appropriate on certain servers. And so people just transferred off. Whole factions would transfer off. And they have servers in WoW Classic that are just completely Hoarder Alliance dominated on PvP realms and with nobody to fight.
Yep, so there's no PvP now.
Yep. A lot of people are not happy with how quickly they shifted to Burning Crusade because by shifting to Burning Crusade this quickly, a lot of the classic feel of the old world, especially the lack of flying mounts, has been lost. So
They didn't stop to understand what made Classic successful. They just took the win and tried to run with it.
Yep.
They resisted putting out Classic service for so long, and then when they did finally put out Classic service, they didn't take any lessons from it. They just assumed that it was some sort of like weird coincidence that everybody wanted to play it.
Yeah. And WoW Classic was stupidly popular up until the Blitzchung debacle.
Yeah, well, I mean, Blizzard doesn't seem to be able to do anything right anymore.
Yeah.
And it just went all downhill from there. I'm thinking of the part in the Grimm video that I posted last week where he's like, "Dear payers, I mean players, classic players, you have the wonderful deluxe edition to take advantage of." And one of the guys in the crowd goes, "The bots are literally exploiting that.
Yeah.
Because they could just buy the level 58 boost." Oh, they banned the /whistle command because catcalling is sexist in classic.
So I was actually speaking to my brother about WoW the other day and trying to figure out exactly when things really started to go downhill, and we couldn't pick it because every time we thought we'd nailed down, like, okay, it was during, so for example, during Cataclysm when they started really driving the story into the ground. No, there was stuff before that.
Like, I can nail down 2 potential starting points. Mechanically, it started with the Trial of the Grand Crusader in Wrath of the Lich King. It really started at the first patch of Cataclysm at 5.1.
Yeah.
Where they completely abandoned any kind of challenge for normal players.
Because 5.0 was great.
Max 10, cough, cough.
Yeah, that's right.
Max 10.
Max 10 was launch. That was Wrath of the Lich King launch. That was the first clear indicator in my mind because my guild broke up over it.
Yeah.
Everybody we went on there and we destroyed it and we were like, this was so boring. I can't believe we went through all this trouble for that.
Yeah. So what now?
Like that was the first clear indicator that Blizzard did not understand what made raiding fun. So that puts the date way earlier than the ones that you just gave. So you could play this game for a very long time. Remember,
and that was
people didn't react very well to Sunwell either.
Yeah, that was the problem. Is we just could not pick it because he just kept going back. Because Sunwell happened. People weren't happy with Sunwell at the time, and Sunwell is glorified filler. Actually, it wasn't even glorified. It was just filler.
I choose not to remember Sunwell.
Most people don't.
No,
I have. No, it's not that you choose not to remember. It's that the aneurysm did brain damage.
So yeah, it's like there's been signs that that Blizzard's been on their way out for years, but they had that much goodwill banked up before. I think a lot of people were willing to forgive a lot of things.
Oh yeah, you had people's PC gamers' childhoods.
Yeah.
You had all that goodwill banked up, and it took you 10 years to run it out.
Yep. And it's long gone now.
Yeah.
I remember that when Badges of Justice came out, people were upset at that.
Yeah.
That was already a bridge too far because it coupled gear to how many Mechanarch runs can you get done.
It was actually even before that. It tied your gear to how many Encourage runs you could do. Because badges were before that.
Yeah, but the gear from Encourage was rubbish.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, nobody cared about the AQ
and it was
gear.
ugly.
I literally never heard anybody, while AQ was relevant or when Nax was relevant, complain about AQ gear.
Yeah.
It was hideous. It was terrible. It was generally bad. But Badges of Justice, you have to remember, the gear that you could get with them was as good as the gear from the Black Temple.
Yes, it was. And yet people were really upset by that one.
Well, because Black Temple was hard.
Black Temple was hard. Like, taking out Illidan for that first time was not a light feat. Until they nerfed him, it became a light feat. So yeah, that's kind of where everything is at the moment. People are just turning their back on Blizzard in droves. I'm kind of waiting till we hear the official investor reply.
Yeah, the investor reply is going to be, "What the heck have you people been doing?"
Yeah.
Well, they didn't mention any anything about Shadowlands in their earnings report.
No, they didn't.
They just avoided talking about it.
Which should be rather telling all on its little owns them.
Yeah, it's and it's real sad because they're gonna blame the lawsuit for all this. Oh, we just didn't have the staff to make it work.
Which is a nice change from them blaming the players. Seriously.
Oh,
Any game developer should never ever do that. And yet it happens all the time. Alright. So, I guess we can... Did you have anything else for your week, or should we just tangent straight into news?
no, we were already tangenting off my week. I was done with the Shadowverse stuff.
Alright. What has Blizzard done this week?
I don't have anything from Blizzard, but I got... remember last week how Ubisoft said they wanted a seat at the table for all this industry-wide regulation they think is so great?
Guess what?
Guess who's next up on the chopping block?
The seat they got is the defendant's seat.
Yeah. Ubisoft Singapore under investigation by Watchdog for allegations of sexual assault and discrimination. This Watchdog group screams lefty religious cult.
Well, most Watchdog groups are, because you join Watchdog groups due to having an impulse for activism, and leftists gravitate to activism like ants to honey. So, yeah, I mean, the reason why the political left is perpetually in ascendancy is because they've got that activist impulse, and conservatives almost definitionally don't, because they don't want things to change for no reason.
Yeah. So their allegation is Ubisoft Singapore, and just to put the icing on the cake, Kotaku's the one that reported this first.
Oh, Kotaku.
Ubisoft Singapore has always been kind of known internally to be one of the worst Ubisoft studios in terms of culture. People would visit from other studios and be like, what the F is wrong here?
It's more accurate to say that Singapore is like that. Like that's like I've got a colleague who went to work for a couple of years at Eurofins Singapore. The branch it's not like every Eurofins laboratory is part of the same company in a direct sense. Like it's more of a franchise. It's somewhere between a full company and a franchise.
Right.
So one of my colleagues went and worked at the Singapore branch of the lab for a while, and then after a couple of years he came back, despite the fact that he likes living in the big city and he was getting paid more there, but he still came back to New Zealand. The reason was that the company culture in Singapore is incredibly toxic, and this is across companies generally in Singapore, is that people will do anything to get ahead. Anything. There's no moral bracketing of things that are good form and things that are not in order to get ahead. There is there's an open paranoia about the people that are around you, what they might be up to, whether they're actually industrial spies, whether they're trying to hold you back, that sort of thing. And people will actively sabotage each other in order to secure their opportunity for promotion and so on and so forth. Like they just have a real bad corporate culture in general in Singapore. I'm sure there are good places to work, but the general impression that I've gotten from people is that Singapore is just a bad place to work because it's climbing the ladder is too important to people. It's the central facet of working life in Singapore is to climb the ladder, and you don't let anybody stop you.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, Singapore has pressure cooker environments at the corporate level, and in the case of games development for Ubisoft, you're adding on top of that gaming crunch and the fact that it's run by the French.
Yeah, so one of the allegations here is that there is such thing as the French ceiling, and that the Singaporeans can't promote themselves past the French.
French Canadians wouldn't be able to promote themselves past the French. French from France have an extraordinarily high opinion of themselves.
Yeah, so The French are, are here. There have apparently been full allegations
Oh, here we go again.
of sexual assault. Several individuals were accused of racist or homophobic comments, but those individuals are not named. As well as close friends and executives being promoted over women. Ubisoft CEO also was accused of making homophobic and racist comments.
Don't quit your day job.
Please.
Uh-huh.
Oh boy, so that was awful. So yeah. Well, Ubisoft did kind of stick their face in this fire.
They did, but it's also an activist group called MOM.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not willing to write them off simply because it is Singapore, and Singapore is a very, very, very different place to anywhere else in the world. On not just on the corporate level, but on a general society level. Singapore just works differently. You've got to remember that they are like one of the last absolute dictatorships in the world. That structures their whole society completely differently.
Yeah. So, you get what you get with that. There's not a whole lot to the story yet. We don't even have the full allegations out. I don't even think there's a proper lawsuit that's been filed anywhere, because I'm not sure how you do that in Singapore.
Yeah, they've got a completely different set of laws for handling that kind of thing than what you typically find in the West.
Yeah, so it's pulling out the particulars of this is fairly difficult. I just thought it was really funny that literally last week Ubisoft's like, we want a place at the table to make sure this doesn't happen anymore, and the very next week, this happens.
Anyone with the slightest hint of pattern recognition would have seen this coming a mile off.
The one thing you can typically be really sure of with Singapore is that once they decide who they're going to punish, that person is going to get punished.
Yeah, it's kiss your career goodbye.
No, they still do corporal punishment.
Oh yeah, they do too.
If you're lucky, you come off as punished salaryman with an eye patch with a skull on it afterwards.
You could be publicly flogged.
I've forgotten entirely about the corporal punishment side of things.
That's why I say Singapore is a completely different society. You can't think of them in the same way we think of the way we operate in the West. You can't even think of them in the way that, say, the CCP operates, where you would just be, disappeared or whatever. No, Singapore is a very different place, and public flogging is something that could theoretically happen.
That sounds great. Can we bring this to the West?
Oh no!
I can think of a few people.
Given what your legal system is like, given how trustworthy your judges are, how about no?
I mean, I'm just saying, if we ever do fix it and get it back, because it's going to need full reform to get that kind of thing institutionalized. But when we institute our new justice system, can we please have public blogging as an entry-level point of punishment?
Like, philosophically, I am the sort of person who agrees with punishment, generally speaking. Like, I don't believe in the modern interpretation of the legal system's job is to rehabilitate. No, I think that the legal system's job is to institute justice, and part of justice is retribution. So I don't actually have any problem with that, provided that it is handled by a squeaky clean, perfectly mechanical system, which is the correct balance of mercy and justice on the controls. But the main reason,
getting into Fantasyland territory there.
You didn't let me finish. The main reason why we don't have corporal punishment is because that's impossible. Because it's not reversible at all. Like the anytime you enact violence on an individual, you have to be ready to kill them. That's fundamentally the case. That's why you don't just hit people that you get angry with in general society, because they might die. Like, if you get angry at something somebody says to you and you punch them in the face, they could trip, fall, hit their head and die. That's just, once you start violence, you have to be prepared that there is some risk that it will go all the way. So we don't do corporal punishment because you can never be 100% sure what the outcome of it will be. And you don't want to do that to somebody who hasn't done something to justify it. And it's not as easily retracted as simply isolating someone from society as a punishment for an extended period of time. Which when done in the correct way doesn't necessarily have to be completely inhumane. Although for some people might deserve it to be completely inhumane to them. But yeah, it's the way things are done in Singapore though. They don't really have a much of a dialogue on the value of certain things. Like, I would not trust myself not to get flogged for littering there. So they have a lot of laws. A lot of laws.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right, we got a few other newslets we can go through.
All right, hit it.
Any of them? All right, I'll pick another one. Okay, now the funny part about this story is not that there's anything significant in some part of a video game being delayed. The funny part of this story is you got to remember this game was ready to go a year ago, according to Bungie. Or 343, whoever's in charge of it.
Bungie hasn't been involved in it in a long time.
Yeah. So, the funny part is Halo Infinite won't have campaign co-op at launch, and Forge mode will also be delayed. You know, two of the biggest selling points of Halo.
That game is going to be dead on arrival.
Oh, it is at this point.
Like, people already feel betrayed by it, and it hasn't even come out yet. Because it was supposed to be out. And it's not, and there's no indication that it ever will be.
Everything we've seen about it has been awful.
Remember the trailers? Remember the memes? My goodness. That's what your game is known for. You can't go loud with a game unless you are perfectly in control of the messaging. Because it will destroy you if you're not.
Especially if your characters look like potatoes.
So, while people have been saying a few nice things, it's only the shills that I've really seen that have been pumping up the multiplayer. The real dyed-in-the-wool old school Bungie fanboys, like everybody else, just been mostly whatever about the game, which is about the worst thing you can have.
Well,
and
the thing that I think that this is a broad issue in the games industry is that people who work in the games industry don't seem to understand that no matter how much you try and stack the deck in your favor, success is only ever organic. Like, you cannot astroturf the success of Halo Infinite multiplayer. It will only be successful if people want to play it.
Yeah. It'll be dead within 3 months if you astroturf the hell out of it. If it just ain't good, it ain't good.
I mean, you might get a little cult of the faithful who uphold it, and you might even get quite a few, but you won't. Like, Halo didn't become a smash hit because it was astroturfed to be popular. It was because it hit the right balance of what certain people wanted and grew into a phenomenon from there. Oh, I just crashed into a Nergigante.
Oh, that's unhealthy.
Yeah, but if people have certain expectations in place already for how Halo is supposed to be, that's definitely the case. But you can't make it into a phenomenon. You can't make it gain back all the ground that it had during the Halo 2, Halo 3 era, where it was like a real juggernaut of multiplayer. People have moved on to other things now. I mean, you've seen people try and pull this crap off in the past, like Valorant.
Yeah,
There's still people playing Valorant.
Yeah.
But they tried to astroturf it into the next big thing, and it didn't work. In the end, what happened is the natural number of people who wanted to play Valorant ended up playing Valorant, and that would have happened no matter the size of their campaign, provided people knew that it existed. Like, ultimately, people play Valorant because there are a handful of various streamers and that they like that play Valorant, and they like the look of the game over other games or whatever reason. There's not really a strong reason to play Valorant, generally speaking. So the certain number of people who are always going to play it tends to play it. Trying to act like it is already a big thing by buying off every streamer in the world, that's not enough to make your game overtake all of its competitors, because there still has to be substance there. Communities don't stay within a game just because of the amount of money spent on marketing it. That's not how it works.
But hey, I still got Monster Energy cans in my trash can from like a year ago. Probably not still in the trash can, but that I put in my trash can a year ago. That can let it ride with their codes for boosting EXP in Halo Infinite.
I keep forgetting that those things happen, and
Will they
it's
be claimable
always
by the time it
embarrassing.
comes out? Like, well, if you've put those codes in or whatever, wherever you're meant to, I wonder if they'll even still work by the time the game comes out.
That's a good question. You know there's some autist out there that's been saving all their monster cans.
Oh yeah,
Well, some people just don't throw them away. Like, you know how I sent you that photo off my desk? Those monster cans are still there.
You and your boomer juice.
I just don't take out the trash very often. There are 5 empty bottles of wine on the floor behind me.
that says all you need to know, really.
That's a lot of wine.
Yeah, but it's not like I drank it all last night.
I don't know.
In fact, none of them are from last night. But I just don't take out the trash that often, so stuff tends to linger around. And if I haven't had a motivation to keep things, then I might linger around even longer. There's definitely going to be people who are hoarding those monster codes.
Yeah. I think I have that same pocket knife multi-tool that you have on your desk in that picture. But yeah, just a small little thing that I laughed at when I saw, because it blows my mind they were going to ship this thing a year ago.
Oh. And they got smacked down so hard. I think they've just taken the whole thing back to the drawing board, really.
They got knocked around pretty good for it.
Because it looked dreadful.
It did. So yeah, that's
so bad.
That's Halo Infinite. All right. Anybody else got one of the got another article they want to go through?
What do we got today? Yeah, let us see. I'm just actually kind of getting a little bit hype for Monkey Ball.
Yeah, I've been getting kind of excited for it too. It's looking really good.
So it's Monkey Ball 1, 2, and, well, essentially 3. Bundled up, given a fresh coat of paint, and packaged for the modern audience. But they've been announcing a bunch of guest characters. Sonic and Tails are kind of a given because, you know, Sega. But Kazuma Kiryu?
Yeah.
In Monkey Ball?
Yeah, we got the Dragon of Dojima in Super Monkey Ball.
I just love that he's cute and he's chibi, but he's still got the scowl.
Yep.
Even though if he's tearing through a brightly coloured world in a plastic ball.
Yep. So it's more appropriate than you think, because in his games, Super Monkey Ball is in all the Crane game machines.
Yep.
As a possible prize in like every single game.
Yeah, there's always at least II in there.
Yeah. So it makes sense that Kiryu would have a chance to show up in Monkey Ball 2.
It's just silly. There's a very fun little trailer about it where he's just rolling around and looking thoroughly unimpressed by the whole ordeal. And it's great.
Oh, he looks like he's having a grand old time until the ball goes bounce.
Which is all the time.
Yeah, and then he gets stuck to the ball. But I like how instead of bananas, he has the health energy drinks that you get.
Yeah.
In Yakuza. He has the Stamex energy drinks.
Oh dear. But yeah, I'm getting actually kind of eager to play this game because it looks like Sega's actually doing it properly.
Monkey Balls, anybody cares about 1 and 2? Who cares about that one? 1 and 2 are in here.
Yeah, it's 1 and 2 and kind of 3, sort of.
Yep. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah. Alright, we have... Oh, look, more Skyrim.
Do you really want to talk about fishing in Skyrim?
Oh, Todd.
So, what it is, it's the anniversary
does this mean
edition.
that it's been... Does that mean that it's been 10 years?
Yes.
10 years?
10 years.
How many... Before Skyrim, in the 10 years preceding Skyrim, how much content did Bethesda release? Compared with how much since? in Elder Scrolls?
Bethesda Elder Scrolls Wiki.
They did Hell's Armor.
That doesn't count.
10 years.
Oh yes, it does.
Okay,
10
so
years preceding Skyrim.
so we had in the 10 years preceding, we had a port of Redguard to modern PC consoles. Oh no, it's just an update of Redguard, so not a re-release, just an update. And then in 2001, nothing. The rest of 2001, nothing happened. 2002 had Morrowind and Tribunal. 2003 had Blood Moon. The Portable Travels games came out in 2003 and 2004. Oblivion, Knights of the Nine and Shivering Isles, and then Skyrim in 2011. And there was between Shivering Isles, that was 2007, and there was a 5-year gap between that and Skyrim.
Yeah. And then but after that, it's just been Skyrim, then Skyrim, then Skyrim.
So we have, if I just count Elder Scrolls Online as, do I have to count all their expansions? Probably.
Probably, yeah. Actually, no.
So
Elder Scrolls Online doesn't count because it was ZeniMax who did that.
All right, so we can strike all that.
You can strike all that.
Oh yeah, are you ready for this? Skyrim, Dawnguard, Hearthfire, Dragonborn, all between 2011 and 2012.
Which are all Skyrims.
2016, Skyrim Special Edition, Skyrim Pinball.
Wait, oh, right. Because
What?
of course there's pinball.
I didn't even know that there was a thing.
I didn't either until I read this list.
I'd heard about it and I just thought,
That looks like some baller pinball.
Modern pinball machines are pretty boss.
Okay, and then we have, Elder Scrolls Legends. Was that failed mobile game?
No, that was the failed card game.
Right. So that folded in like a day. Then online. Blades. Elder Scrolls Blades.
Which
Remember that?
was
That-
a failed
that was-
mobile game.
That was what I was thinking of, the failed mobile game.
They announced it like
And-
2 years before they should have, honestly.
And that Skyrim VR.
Which is also Skyrim. So, yeah. So, in this case, it's Skyrim Anniversary Edition. For people who already own the Special Edition, you get a free upgrade. From what I can tell, it's like 3 bits of content out of the shop which are being added for free. Fishing being one of them.
There have to be so many mods for that already.
In the creation shop alone, there's about 500 items. Mods? Let me actually look. Let me see. Internets.
I mean, like, specifically mods that add those things.
Fishing is unique, I think. The
Well, so
survival
nobody
mode,
has
however.
devised any kind of fishing thing?
Yeah, I think that's actually specifically added by Creation Club. Survival mode, however, has got so many different mods for it, it's not funny. Skyrim on Nexus Mods has 66,000 mods.
Surely there's something with a fishing pole in there.
I've seen one basically restart a fishing pole with a battle axe.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. This is how real men fish. They just beat people to death with the fishing rod.
The reason we're harping on the fishing is because it was advertised in the trailer for way too much. It seems to be the screenshot that all the game journos have latched onto.
Because
and
of course it is.
It's me and fishing.
I still like to go back and play Skyrim just to, install a whole bunch of mods and just tear around the landscape fighting Thomas the Tank Engine. But, yeah, fishing is not really what I want to be doing in that game.
It is never what I intend or want to be doing in any game, Fern.
No, but it still happens.
But it always happens.
I'm looking at you every open world Digimon game.
So remember our Minecraft server?
Yeah, we had, you were the world's richest fish, man.
I fished up so much stuff, I was fishing up armor.
Yeah.
The armor that had such a stupidly low drop rate that you never should have got it.
Yeah. With the Infinity +1 fishing rods as well.
Oh yeah, but that was a mod. That helped.
That did help.
Built a grotto specifically for fishing.
Yeah.
None of this was intended when we found that nook. It just happened. Fishing is never something you intend to happen. It just happens.
Alright, what else we got? I'm not actually sure what they're going on with it, actually, with this Skyrim, because they mentioned there's about 500 items in the cash shop, but they're only giving 3 for the anniversary, if I've got that correct.
No idea.
Yeah, I think that's what they're talking about. So, yeah. Anywho, what else we got?
It's all I stuck in there. Fall posted a Final Fantasy 14 thing.
That was not really. I already mentioned that, but it's just that the anniversary is coming, so it's time to play it again. But it hasn't been exactly a busy season as far as finally the new Gigante's dead. It hasn't been a busy season as far as the games industry is concerned, and I've actually heard the big YouTube commentators complaining about it. The only thing to talk about is Scandal at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, game studios, give us something cool to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
cool. Just give us Vigi games.
We live in a world where virtually every studio Activision has is just developing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
That's not an exaggeration. It's just the way things are. That's how investment has made the games industry function. I mean, the world we live in is not what it once was.
No, it is not.
No.
Remember back when we were kids, and there'd be unique experimental games, and sometimes you get some hits.
You still get that in the indie market, but
and there would be complete games that you could buy and when they came out, they were the whole game with no major bugs.
I remember. Yeah.
Like, I don't have a high bar here, games companies. Just put out an original video game with no bugs.
Well, as far as they're concerned, that is a high bar.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of people who are willing to pay for a subpar product. I suppose the only other thing that I've seen people talking about recently is this Fortnite imposters thing. Have you guys seen about that?
I saw that, which is really kind of dirty, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of scummy. Basically, the short version is that Epic ported Among Us whole cloth into Fortnite as a Fortnite game mode. They didn't change any of the terminology or anything. Mm-hmm. They just and they even kept the map almost exactly the same.
And more the point is they've done it while they were in talks to do some sort of collab or partnership with the Among Us guys.
I don't know the veracity of that. Like, from what I've heard, like, the Among Us people wanted to do a collab with it, but that could be on the level of they were proposing like models or skins, or they had just sent an email to Epic to ask if they were interested.
Yeah,
like, there's a lot of room there for interpretation, but the simple reality is that they capitalized on somebody else's game for their own benefit. And this is not at the level of taking inspiration from someone else's game.
No, it's a pretty blatant rip-off at this point.
This is like they have taken the mechanics and they have taken the map and they have imported them into their own game without any kind of approval from the people that made the original.
Yeah, it's pretty freaking scummy.
I mean, there's a lot of people burbling about how, this Among Us isn't exactly a new game either. It's just like there are tons of pen and paper games that are like this and other games in the past. Yeah, but this is not. It's not quite the same thing as taking the genre and doing your own spin on it. No, they have taken Among Us proper and put it in their game.
Yeah. Ah, dear.
Yeah. It's looking at this video. They literally have like people that turn into banana costumes when they are imposters and look like the Among Us people.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this is bad. And you know what's sad about all this? Epic will not get punished for this because even if, and they very much so do, the Among Us people had a legitimate case to bring to a judge to protect their IP, there is no way a boomer judge is going to know what the heck they're talking about.
Well, it's not just that either. Like, compared to the amount of money that Epic's legal team has, what do you think that their team has?
Yeah, they were
like Among Us is made by like 5 people.
Yeah, well, all that money they made doesn't have a whole lot of overhead to go to. It was still just a one night or a one season flash in the pan game.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't charge a whole lot of money for it. It's like $3 with a free version. So I don't imagine they made a whole lot of. They didn't exactly make bank off of it.
Yeah. So with that, that's probably about all we got time for.
Yep.
So
I tried to campaign. Fern poo-pooed it, talking about how OnlyFans is defunct now.
Yeah.
I don't care about it.
I just find it amusing more than anything else.
It's nice that the thoughts have been patrolled. It can't happen often enough, but it's also not something I'm particularly interested in.
Yeah.
I get a lot of enjoyment from it.
If anything, it's a bad thing for gaming because they'll all go back to Twitch.
And then they'll get kicked off and then infest somewhere else instead.
Oh no, Twitch will just capitulate and finally just make a softcore porn section.
I mean, if they did and just named it something else, there's money in that. But it's also like, we don't really want thoughts all over Twitch.
But that's what Twitch is synonymous with now. Like,
yeah.
The question is like how many parents will understand what is happening if they decided to do that. It's your kids are not watching Minecraft anymore. You see that section labeled Twitch After Dark? Yeah, that's not Minecraft.
No, that is not Minecraft.
Yeah.
That's boobies.
Well, it would only be a matter of time before the long noses at the banks decided that it was time to go after Twitch for that. I suppose. So, could be a net benefit in the end if the thoughts migrate to Twitch. I'm just going to let that joke fly over everybody's heads.
It didn't fly over anyone's head.
It didn't. We're just refusing to comment on it.
Yes, because we need to shoot you into space if we get caught.
So, with that, let us wrap up then.
All right. Closing comments go.
I want free time.
I've missed like the climactic confrontation scene because it happened when I went through the wrong direction.
Neither.
So I have no idea. I'm missing out on all of the exposition. I have no idea what's going on. The great reveal of the antagonist has just happened, and I have no idea why. This is my punishment for being professional and playing video during the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Crosby.
No, stop that.
All right, folks. We will see y'all next week, and we'll try to find ways to not get Fern have to run away. Or
no promises at this point.
Yeah, it might just be up to luck. So you may get a few short shows. We'll see you next week. Sayonara, bye-bye.